Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Sister Wives universe has never been short of shocking twists, but nothing could have prepared fans for the jaw-dropping revelations spilling out of the latest court documents that have exposed what many are now calling the most scandalous chapter in Kody Brown's chaotic legacy, a story that centers on a so-called family fund that was touted as a safety net for the sprawling Brown household, but has now been revealed as a carefully orchestrated scam allegedly masterminded by Kody himself, raising serious questions about where the money went, who knew about it, and how this so-called fund became a tool not for unity but for manipulation and financial gain. And as fans revisit years of TLC episodes, subtle hints about money disappearing, wives complaining about unpaid bills, and Kody brushing off concerns suddenly look far more sinister. Because now the puzzle pieces fit together into a picture of deception and betrayal that leaves viewers stunned, wondering how far this patriarch was willing to go to maintain control over his fractured family. And according to these documents, the family fund was sold as a communal savings pool meant to help pay for land, housing, emergencies, and future investments for the children, something that on paper seemed like a practical solution for a family with 4 wives and nearly 24 kids. But in reality, the fund functioned more like a private slush account that Kody alone could dip into whenever he wanted, with little transparency and almost no accountability. And the papers allege that money flowing into the fund, some from TLC paychecks, some from family-run businesses, and some from the wives' personal side hustles, was often funneled into ventures that had nothing to do with the family at all, ranging from questionable donations to Kody's own private indulgences, fueling a pattern that paints him less as a visionary leader and more as a reckless schemer always chasing the next big thing without regard for the people who trusted him most. And the documents also detail how Kody allegedly pressured each wife to contribute, framing it as a sacred duty to the family while reportedly shaming those who resisted. And Janelle, who has often been painted as the financially practical one, was said to be among the most vocal in questioning where the money was going. But every time she asked for clarity, the narrative was twisted until she felt guilty, as if her doubts meant she wasn't loyal enough. While Christine later admitted in film confessionals that she often felt the money was never really about fairness but about control, and Mary, who by then was already emotionally distanced, allegedly stopped contributing quietly, only for Kody to berate her behind the scenes for not supporting the family vision. And then there's Robyn, whose name shows up repeatedly in the documents, with mentions of her credit being tied to certain fund investments, sparking theories that she may have benefited disproportionately from what the fund covered, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And all of this has reignited the fiery debate among fans over whether Robyn was truly the favored wife or simply the one who played along with Kody's demands most willingly. But perhaps the most damning revelation is that when the fund was audited as part of a larger dispute over Coyote Pass and the redivision of assets, it became clear that hundreds of thousands of dollars had gone missing or were tied up in ventures that had no connection to the Browns' collective needs, with whispers of investments in luxury items, possible side deals related to Kody's rumored new reality project, and even allegations of cash being used to secure personal connections that would boost his own profile rather than support the family. And this has left fans furious, with many taking to social media to declare that everything they suspected about Kody's controlling behavior and financial secrecy is now being proven in black and white. And while TLC has yet to make a public statement about how this revelation might impact Sister Wives moving forward, insiders have suggested that executives are quietly panicking because the show's credibility rests on portraying the Browns as flawed but genuine. Yet if viewers believe they've been lied to on such a fundamental level, ratings could plummet. Though perversely, scandals like this often draw even more eyes as people tune in out of morbid curiosity to see how the family reacts. And some fans are already speculating that season 20 could shift dramatically to focus on the fallout of this revelation, possibly even documenting court battles, family confrontations, and the unraveling of long-held financial secrets. And as shocking as it sounds, this isn't the first time money drama has haunted the Browns, as many will recall how Mary's catfish scandal indirectly revealed just how isolated she was financially, or how Janelle once hinted she felt like she had nothing after her split, despite years of contributing to what was supposed to be a communal lifestyle. Or even Christine, who when leaving, made it clear she had to build her independence from the ground up, comments that now ring eerily like foreshadowing of this scam. And fans are asking the burning question, did Kody always plan it this way, building a fake financial empire under the guise of family unity? Or did he simply spiral out of control after years of reckless decisions, losing track of what the fund was supposed to be? And either answer is damning because the documents suggest deliberate obfuscation, with signatures, transfers, and balances hidden in a maze of paperwork designed to keep the wives from seeing the whole picture. And the deeper fans dig, the more parallels they see to other infamous reality TV financial scandals. And it raises the uncomfortable truth that sister wives might not have just been about plural marriage, but about money, power, and the illusion of control. And now, with the family splintered, trust broken, and court docs revealing the ugly underbelly, one has to wonder whether the Brown family can ever recover its image, or whether this scandal will forever cement Kody as not just a failed husband, but a failed patriarch who used his wives, children, and even viewers as pawns in a financial game that never had a happy ending. Because in the end, what was supposed to be a family fund turned out to be a fund for one man's ego. And the tragedy is that everyone else is left paying the price, literally and emotionally, while Kody's empire of control crumbles in real time, leaving fans bracing for the next revelation that could make this already explosive saga even more unbelievable. As the layers of this alleged scam continue to unravel, it becomes increasingly clear that each wife experienced the so-called family fund in drastically different ways, painting a fractured portrait of a household that was never as united as Kody tried to convince the world it was. And starting with Janelle, whose entire persona on Sister Wives has been built on pragmatism, financial literacy, and level-headed thinking, fans now see her long-standing stress over money in a completely new light, because if the fund was secretly being drained while she thought they were saving for the Kody Pass development, then her repeated statements about never being able to make ends meet suddenly become evidence of her being manipulated into pouring everything into a black hole. And sources close to production have whispered that Janelle often argued with Kody behind the cameras about financial transparency. But because TLC liked to play up the family's quirky dynamics, the real depth of those money fights was never fully captured, leaving viewers blindsided by the sheer size of the scandal, while Christine, who broke away from the marriage publicly in 2021, has been more candid since, often admitting that she felt she could never get a straight answer about the money. And now that the documents confirm the fund's misuse, fans are reevaluating her decision to leave not just as an emotional break, but as a financial survival tactic, since Christine herself said she left with little more than what she personally managed to stash away, which makes the scam feel even more cruel, because it suggests years of contributions from her LuLaRoe income, cameo work, and TLC checks may have gone into the fund only for Kody to siphon it elsewhere. And when you look at her current happiness with David Woolley, some fans have pointed out that her freedom isn't just about love, but about escaping the financial prison Kody had built under the guise of family unity. Then comes Mary, the original wife, who has long walked a lonely and complicated road, and while many fans know her for the catfish scandal and her emotionally distant relationship with Kody, the new revelations suggest she may have pulled back from the fun long before her emotional withdrawal was obvious, because the docs indicate that Mary's contributions dwindled after 2015, which happens to align with the timeline of her scandal and fallout. And though Kody reportedly berated her for not being loyal enough, Mary may have been one of the first to suspect something was wrong, quietly protecting her own interests even while still tethered to the family in name. And this now reframes her years of independent business ventures, from bed and breakfast ownership to her clothing sales, as more than just hobbies, but survival strategies. And while fans often criticized Mary for staying too long, the financial angle gives her decision far more context, because perhaps she knew that cutting ties to the fund was the only way to preserve anything for herself. And then there's Robin, the lightning rod of the entire family dynamic, whose name repeatedly pops up in the documents. And though her defenders argue she likely didn't know the full scope of Kody's maneuvers, critics point to how often her needs seemed to be prioritized. From her massive Flagstaff home to her endless tears about wanting family unity while enjoying financial security that the other wives lacked. And now fans are asking whether Robyn was complicit or simply the beneficiary of Kody's favoritism, because the fund records show money tied to loans under her name and accounts used to bolster her credit. And while that doesn't necessarily mean she orchestrated the scam, it does suggest that she lived a very different reality compared to her sister wives, one where financial struggles were minimized because Kody always seemed to find a way when it came to her. And the irony is that this very favoritism may now be the smoking gun that proves the fund was never about family at all, but about keeping Robyn comfortable and loyal. And beyond the individual wives, fans are also furious about what this means for the Brown children, many of whom grew up in homes where money was tight, where college tuition was a dream not always fulfilled, and where medical bills and extracurriculars were often a struggle. And to learn that a fund supposedly created to support their futures was instead siphoned off is nothing short of heartbreaking, sparking conversations online about generational financial abuse and whether the children will ever confront their father publicly, since many of them, like Gwendolyn and Paydon, have already taken to social media in the past to share biting critiques of Kody's priorities. But this scandal takes those critiques to a whole new level, because now the accusations aren't just about emotional neglect but about cold, hard theft of opportunities, and fans are demanding answers from TLC, with hashtags like #Fundgate and #KodyScam trending across platforms. And while some believe the network may lean into the scandal to boost ratings, others argue that continuing to give Kody a platform would be unethical given the financial harm alleged in these documents. Yet if Sister Wives has proven anything, it's that controversy fuels viewership. And TLC has historically leaned into messy storylines, which means viewers might actually get to watch the fallout play out in real time. But the big question remains, how will Kody respond? Because so far his public image has been one of defiance, blaming others for his downfall and rarely admitting fault. But these documents are harder to spin, as they come from official audits and court proceedings, not just bitter ex-wives or gossip. And though his defenders may argue he had the right to control family finances as patriarch, the sheer lack of transparency undermines any argument of leadership, leaving Kody in a corner where excuses may not be enough. And if history repeats itself, he may lash out at the wives, accuse them of betrayal, or claim TLC misrepresented the truth. But this time, the receipts are right there in black and white. And the irony is that the very thing Kody seemed most desperate to hold on to, control, may be the very thing that destroys him. Because instead of uniting his family under one financial umbrella, the scam has shattered whatever was left of their trust, leaving Christine thriving outside the system, Janelle openly talking about being left with nothing, Mary finally cutting her own path, and Robyn stuck in the awkward position of being tied to a man whose reputation is now more toxic than ever. And what does this mean for the future of Sister Wives? Some fans wonder if the show might pivot into a legal drama format, following not just the family's emotional journey, but their courtroom battles, while others predict the scandal could force TLC to finally cut ties. Though cynics argue that as long as viewers keep watching, the network will keep airing the drama. And beyond television, the revelations are sparking broader cultural discussions about financial control in polygamous households, with experts weighing in on how patriarchal systems often allow one figure to monopolize money under the guise of unity, a pattern that mirrors what the court docs describe in Kody's case. And suddenly the Brown story feels less like unique reality TV drama, and more like a cautionary tale about financial abuse disguised as family loyalty. And perhaps the most chilling part is imagining what might have happened if the audit had never been forced, because without the spotlight of legal disputes over Coyote Pass, the scam might have gone undetected, leaving the wives and children continuing to funnel money into a void while Kody enjoyed unchecked control. And in that sense, the exposure of this scam may be the only silver lining, because now the wives, Even those who remain tied to him can see the truth laid bare, and the fans, who invested over a decade of viewership, can finally understand why the Browns always seemed broke despite being reality TV stars. Because the money wasn't building homes or futures, it was building Kody's illusion of authority, and now that illusion has shattered, leaving behind not just a scandal but a legacy that will forever stain his name. Because long after Sister Wives ends, the words "fake family fund" will be the defining headline of Kody Brown's story.